Hello, everyone who's on the call. My name is Aditya, and we are going to have a short session on how to make a short film. This is in reference to the contest you are going to take part in. So, I hope this comes in handy to you. And at any point of time, if you have questions, you can ask me. So, we'll start going through the presentation. S- So, uh, I think by when do you have to submit your short films? So by when do they have to submit their entries?
Last day of submission is 28th.
Okay, okay. So there are 10 days right now.
Yes.
So all right. So I'll start with this, which is the stages of making a short film. So there are three stages to it. One is your pre-production, then it's production, and then post-production. Now, out of these three stages, the most important stage is pre-production. That's where your film is made. So we start with generating ideas, and I'll talk about this in depth later on. So your ideas have to be generated, whether it's your observation, whether it's your research, and whether it's somebody who is talking to you something and it strikes you. Then you have to convert that idea into a concept and a script. So because you guys are making a short film, so this will not take much time, and ideally I think you will be making scripts which will be around 3 to 5 minutes. So that is something which should be short also. So once you finalize the script, once you write your script, you take some time, you take some feedback, and then you finalize it. And if you have a team, if you guys are working in a team, then I would suggest you should take feedback from everyone and then finalize your script. And after that, finalizing the team is what I mean is for shoot, who all are going to act according to your script, who's going to direct. You might need somebody to shoot it also. So you have to finalize your team. And location recce and tech recce is something which I'll get to later on. But in short, it means that once your script and team is finalized, then you basically you lock the location in which you're going to shoot your script. Now whether it's a house, whether it's a road, whether it's a parking alley, it can be anything. But then you go and see the location. You see how creatively first it aligns to the vision of your short film, and then also you have to practically see whether you can shoot there, and what are the other various aspects involved, which we will cover on later on in detail. And tech recce is something also which I will cover on later in detail. Now, production, as we all know, is the execution of the shoot, and post production is about rough cut, adding music, sound effects, other graphic, taking feedback, etc., and final cut. So, I will be going through each of these stages individually, and if there is any question or something, do let me know. So, we will start with pre production, which is the most important part of this process. So, let's start with pre production. Right. So, yes, so this would be my note to you for this following contest, that please aim at making short films up to 3 to 5 minutes. Instead of attempting scale in terms of location and cast, try to execute something minimal. So that means limited people and limited locations, and try to focus more on the concept, on the idea which you're trying to bring out or you're trying to convey through your film. Usually this is just for additional knowledge, we use a software called Final Draft or Celtex to write scripts, but for now you can use Word or any other suitable application as per choice. Now, scripting is the most essential part of the entire process, and these are some rules which might help you in writing your script. So the first thing is that however small your story is, it should always have a beginning, middle, and end. And that means that it should at least have three beats or three parts to it. If you don't have any one of them, then there will be something missing in your script. Now this is also something which you should know, that every story, every film, or every show which you're watching is essentially about a character who has a goal, and he would face obstacles to get the goal, and eventually either he would get the goal or he fails at getting the goal. So essentially any movie or any show, any book, any story, if you pick, is essentially, this is the whole the main backbone of the film. Is this is what the film is always about. All stories is about one central dramatic question. So please write this before writing your screenplay. So your character can have a goal. He can face the obstacle, and then he might get the goal or not get the goal. But you should have there should be a one reason of why you're making the film. There should be one dramatic question around it, which would also be the theme of it. And if we do not focus on the theme, then the script somehow will not connect to people. So we'll also cover this in detail as we go further. Now, stories to script. We must make sure that our story or script should be from a point of view of one character, who is our protagonist. So right now, because it's a short film also, so once we discuss examples, this will be more clearer to you. But if, for example, it's a you're writing short films based on law subjects, so if you're writing the story of a law student, then make sure that it is thoroughly from their perspective only. It should not happen that in the middle or in the end you get another character and then we start seeing things from their perspective. Ideally, the perspective should always be from one person. That is why in films and shows we see that there is always a protagonist. So when we follow one point of view from the beginning till the middle till the end, that's when, as an audience, we can connect emotionally to the journey of the character through the story. Now, these are the four key aspects to keep in mind while writing your story. One is plot, which is what your story essentially will be about. Then the second is characters, and it depends on which character are you choosing, where do they come from, what is their profession, and how are they serving the plot. And then there is theme, which is also our central dramatic question, and exposition. So exposition is mostly about when you reveal certain information in the beginning, and then it is up to you when you when you choose to decide to reveal certain information later on. So so in a lot of films, when you see, when we are introduced to a world or to a character, not everything about them is revealed initially, right? And majorly in short films also, that's where the twist comes. When we get to know information about the characters later on, and that's what creates a twist. So whenever you're writing a story, and if you feel that there is something missing, it is either going to be your plot, your characters, or your theme, your exposition. One of them will not be up to the other three, and this is a good parameter to recheck as to where exactly your script is lacking in. Now, one tool which will majorly help you in writing a good short film is a reversal. So, reversal is a very simple thing that you just reverse the whole story. Now, for example, if my short film is about a person, who is running in the jungle, and then there are animals behind him. Now, I make a tense sequence where you would feel that whether he would be able to escape or not, whether he will die or not. But the reversal would be that an alarm clock rings and we realize that the person was sleeping actually, and he wakes up from a dream. So these are reversals in which you can create maximum impact, but it is something which should be aligned to your script. It should be something which comes naturally. It should not be anything which is just there to give a twist effect, but you have to make sure to put it in a way that it comes very naturally, yet as a surprise to the viewer. Now, in the context of making short films related to law, uh, so I have three strategies of how to go about it. One is called the observational type of storytelling, in which you can point out that a present law which exists, it is true, but it is peculiar. So this is something which you can uh, write your script on. Then there can be an informative story about a law which is present and not many people are aware of it. And then third is an insightful story about a law which is not there but should exist. So observational would be about something which is there but is peculiar or strange enough for you to say something about it. Informative is something which people do not know but maybe should know. and you can say it in an interesting manner through your short film. And insightful would be something you feel should be there but is not there. So these are the three ideas which I can give you, which might help you making your short film. Now, examples, I'm just giving you examples out of the blue. So, an insightful idea can be that active euthanasia should be legal in India. So, your short film can be based on this, and then that is something you can say in the end. Now, how you decide to say it and what's the script you choose is up to you. Informative ideas is that, police cannot search your car without a warrant in India. So, this can be done in a very interesting way, that your car is stopped at night and somebody asks you for your license, and then they want to search your car. So you can make that situation, you can make it funny also, or you can make it like a drunk man is actually driving, he stopped. And I mean, you can play around, you can make it humorous if you want, you can make it serious. The tone of the film can be in your hand, but this is something which you can, about minute things which people are not aware of, you can do that through these short films. Now, observational ideas is like, that there should be mandatory death penalty for somebody who commits a crime like rape. So you can also make a short film on that. I have other ideas also. Now, these are some things which I was searching on the internet. So probably you can research your ideas from net, or because you're all students of law, so probably you might be having some ideas uh, within you right now. So something is called locust attack, and it was that under the East Punjab Agriculture Pests Act, Delhi people are legally required to beat drums to alert authorities in case of a locust attack. Now, I think this is a very peculiar law. So, you can make something of on this. Now, under Section 309 of the IPC, suicide is illegal and an unsuccessful suicide attempt is punishable by imprisonment, fine, or both. Now, I feel that a person should be reformed or rehabilitated for the same, but this is also, a topic which you can make a film on. Now, there is something on treasure, that if you find something on the road and its value exceeds rupees 10, you need by law to report it to the authorities or face charges. So these are just ideas which might help you.
Yep.
So it's like, if you find something on the road and its value exceeds rupees 10, you need by law to report it to the authorities and face charges. So you can show an interesting story on this. Then, legally, under the Aircraft Act 1934, you need permission to fly kites and balloons, as they are also considering flying objects. So these are just fascinating ideas on which, if something appeals to you, you can choose to make something. So that's what I'm saying. You don't need to have 10 people or have multiple setups, but I think you should just focus on these ideas and try to do something with limited characters in limited setups, and focus more on the idea. Now, if you want to be a motor vehicle inspector in Andhra Pradesh, you are legally required to have good teeth and strong teeth. So I feel this is a peculiar law, and somebody can make a good short film on this. Now, drinking age, there is no fixed drinking age in India. In some states, it's 21, while in others, it's 25. So if you want to pick this topic and say what you feel and what it should be like, you are most welcome to make a film on this also. So these were some ideas, and this was the pre-production stage. If somebody has a question, they can ask, or else I'll move forward to the production stage. So production is basically, this is all based on the short film you're making. So that's how I've written this down. So ideally, if you're making a short film which is about 3 to 5 minutes, it should be completed in a day. You can take two if necessary, but ideally it should be completed in one day. You should plan the timing according to your script, whether on your script it's morning, day, night, or a magic hour. So, for example, in your script, if it's morning, then you might have to keep a 6 a.m. shift. If it's daytime, then it can be 9 a.m., 12 a.m., 2 p.m., depending on the kind of light you want, and whether you are also have evening or night sequences. Now, whether it's night, then you'll have to plan your shoot accordingly. So yeah, that's something which you should keep on check. Now, check weather conditions for the shooting day in advance. So yeah, that's a very important step. At times when people don't do it and they reach the location, then there is rain and unnecessary fog. So make sure that on your shooting day, you don't want the location in a way which you don't want to shoot it. Now check the access to the location and the other requirements on recce. Sometimes there is traffic noise. You might there might be a construction site nearby, and you might not want the sound of it to catch in your sound recorder. So these are few things you can check before. That's what we do on a recce. And you can shoot on a phone. It is the story that will matter. So if you have a DSLR, then please use it, but I would suggest don't rent DSLRs to shoot this short film. The phone qualities are also pretty nice right now, so you can do it on a phone. And yes, this is one thing which I would say, that if you're recording audio, if you have dialogues, then use another phone. You can put it in the person's pocket, the character is saying, or if you have a close up, then you can place it, but use another device to record audio, because that will give you good quality. Sometimes you might be taking a shot from a long distance, so you might want to give a phone to them, so the dialogues will also sync, and you will have good on location sync sound. And that's important, because it feels natural, and if you dub it, then it feels really unnatural and sometimes unprofessional too. And yeah, in case you have a voiceover, then you can definitely record audio in post production, but I feel apart from that, you should avoid doing that. Now, yeah, check the location in case of any audio interference, practical traffic, construction. And yeah, if if there's a location and you cannot avoid the construction work from stopping, and you have chosen a road or a location where there is a lot of traffic noise and you can't do anything about it, then you can go for dubbing. But make sure then the location which you're going to is worth it, or it's a very integral part of your script that you choose to do so. Now, in your script, sometimes you might have props, and sometimes you forget that. For example, if somebody is carrying a bag, and the bag is a very essential part of the story, so just choose that which bag should it be. And sometimes props play a very key role in a lot of films. So in that way, just make sure that your props are ready in advance, and don't leave anything for the last day. For this shoot, I would suggest that don't rent lights, use practical lights. And when I say practical lights, it means that, for example, at night in your house, when you switch on the lights, however lights, however many lights you do switch on actually, so just shoot with that. You don't need to light for a film or something like that, because practical lighting will give a real effect. And we are, as students, you're submitting this film to a contest, so if you just use practical lights, I think that should do the job. And I would suggest that avoid using white light. It does not look very cinematic. So if you have tungsten or warm lights, warm yellow lights, then they will also look good on camera. So now I'm going to talk about something like shots, angles, and framing. So when you're shooting, this is something which might help you, which you can keep in mind. And yeah, so over here, these are the different kind of shot sizes. Now, the shot size determines the size of the subject, that is the character within the frame. And in other words, it is the distance between the camera and the subject. Now, camera shots range from seeing the entire subject to seeing only a part of them. Now, all of this has a lot of meaning attached to it. We just don't do it randomly. So, I'm just going to take you through shot sizes and what they can mean. So this is what we call an extreme long shot. It will show the landscape of a film. It is ideally to tell you that this film is based in this location. That's why you see a lot of people, who put this drone shots these days to show this is Bombay, this is Delhi. And somewhere, just more than giving the information of the city, it is something which will set the tone for your film. So if you're making a comedy film, then you might want to get a bright sunny or a bright colorful part of Delhi. And if you're making a grim drama or something like that, then you might want to show Delhi in fog, and surrounded with clouds, or sometime in the night. So this is something which will also set the mood of your film, and give audience the information where the film is located. It's not always important to tell audience where the film is located, but if it's important in your script, then instead of writing a title, I would suggest you to take a shot, or you can always use b-roll footages which are available online on stock footage and other websites. Now this is called a long shot. The subject appears in a full length and some of the surroundings. Now this is just to show their link between their environment. And for example, in this you can see that he's running and people are running behind him, and and over here you can see that there's a lot of hustle in the street, but he's walking alone. So it depends on your story, and you can. So all this is done on Reiki to decide which shots to take and how to do a shot breakdown. So that is something I would suggest you do it on a Reiki, so that on shoot it's just about execution and you're not confused as to which shot to take when. Now this is a mid shot, and basically you can get to know the character more closely. You can identify their facial expressions and body languages. Now a close-up shot focuses on a face or a character's hand or feet or an object at close range. The viewer can closely examine one piece of action or the thoughts or the feelings of the character. Now close-ups are very important in terms of when your character is actually about to say something very important, or where the breaking moment is going to come. So that is when you should use a close up, and you should just not unnecessarily use a close up. A close up means that something is going to happen now if the camera comes up close. So make sure that you use this shot very carefully and use it at only crucial times. Extreme close-ups make the shot so tight that only a detail of the subject, such as the character's eyes, can be seen. This shot is used to allow the viewer to enter the character's intimate space, revealing certain characteristics and emotions that would otherwise go unnoticed. And extreme close-up over here, you can see there is eye, somebody's crying, somebody's applying a lipstick, and somebody's frowning. It is also done for information where somebody's reading something on a register, or somebody gets a text message. That's when we so it's either for information or for extreme emotion which we want to show, is when we go for an extreme close-up. Now again, establishing shot, and like I told you, the extreme long shot in the beginning, they are one of the same things. And you can this also comes in betweens if you're shifting locations, but ideally I don't think so you would require this in your short film. Now those were camera shots, and now I would just talk a little about camera angles, if it helps you in the shoot. So this is something which we call top angle, or the bird's eye view. The In this angle, the camera is positioned directly above the scene. It can be used to show the scale of a problem or the insignificance of a character. And so this is actually showing you the scale of the city. This also shows you in a way that how this person lives, how is does his living room, how has he maintained his living room, and it tells you details about the character. So this is done to also establish spaces which would subconsciously affect you to understand the character's psychology. And this is something like we say that it's like the insignificance of a character is this shot. Now, this is called a high angle shot, when actually the camera is above the person and it makes the person weak. So, if you see here, over here, when the camera is actually above and the subject is below, you get the sense of that. So, this is when Harry was facing the Dementors, and this is also when they were facing a probably antagonist who was more powerful than them. Then psychologically, this gives you that impact. Now, this is an eye level shot. This is something which we see mostly, and basically, eye level is basically the level of the audience, so that it encourages the viewers to connect emotionally with them. And this is something which we see in all films. This is mostly all the shots are eye level shots. Now, low angle shot, the camera is below the person or object, usually making the person or the object seem powerful and important. So yeah, so if you see over here, I think this is these are the Avengers, and it just gives you a sense of superiority or power if you see the people from a low angle, because it gives them more prominence in the lens. Now, this is called a worm's eye view. This is an extreme low angle shot that places the camera directly below the subject, giving a worm's perspective. It can be used to give power to a subject and to make the viewer feel uneasy. This is mostly done in thrillers, in mystery movies, in horror movies, in psychological thrillers. And it is also done at times, if you see, especially in Indian films, when cops are walking, then we have this extremely low angle shot where they're walking and we see them walking. So it's done to show power and sometimes to just make you feel a little eerie, which sets the tone of the film also. Now, this is called the Dutch and the tilted shot. So basically, the camera is set at an angle. This can create a sense of uneasiness, disorientation, or madness. It can also be used to increase the tension in an action scene. So in Inception, they had done this when the room was falling apart in the dream. This was when I think the final battle was taking place in Harry Potter, and because the whole climax is so the stakes are so high, and it's the final battle, so this psychologically impacts you, and it should be only done at times. Over here, Bruce Willis is woken up in a hospital, and he's disoriented himself. So when you just change the normal angle into a Dutch angle, it is when the audience also feels uneasy in a psychological way. Now, something about framing. Framing determines the number of subjects within a shot and the relationship with the viewer. So this is a single shot, this is a two shot, this is a three shot, OTS and POV. So this is a single shot where you can see one person in a frame. Now it's a two shot when you see two people in a frame. Uh, it is that they can either be looking at one direction, probably they're going in a lift, they're trying to look at somebody, they're having a conversation among themselves. So it depends how you frame these actors together. Now these are three shots. Over the shoulders are mostly when we show two people having a conversation, and we show that their relationship is a little intimate, is when we go OTS, and psychologically it will make you feel more connected to them and it creates a sense of intimacy. Now, the point of view shot shows the audience exactly what the character sees. It is as if we are seeing the scene from his eyes. Now, this is to ideally to just when there is a dramatic question, or something like that appears, and when the stakes are high or the tension is increased, that's when we use a POV shot. So it just gives you a sense of being in the feet of the character, and it makes you more connected to them. Now, my only feedback is that try to have a great opening visual slash closing visual in your film, and try to inculcate sound in your writing. It might not be part of your visual, but it is always a great element to generate drama. For example, the short film can be about two students talking to each other inside the room while a protest is happening in the city. You can use sound without showing anything outside to convey the protests are happening. So you can show the characters look outside, but they do not need to cut to the visuals of a protest. So it's like, you can just show two people talking in the living room with protest echoes outside. That's great to build drama. If you have any questions, you can let me know, or else I'll move ahead to post production. All right. So see, this is like basically there's editing. Then if you record the audio, you'll have to match it. Like you can color correct it, and the grading is not required. Music is very important. It can elevate your story by 60%. So be very careful when you put music. And ideally, if you have music during you write your film, and you can play music in your shoot. So I'm saying having your music figured before shooting the film can give you a great advantage, because music really makes a lot of difference. Now take feedback from a team and make your final cut. So what we'll do is we'll just watch a video, because it's very hard to explain what editing is. So I'll show you a video which will I think help you to understand the process of editing a little better.
I have to think and feel my way through the edit. So today, I'd like to talk about that process. How does an editor think and feel? first thing you need to know is that editing is all about the eyes. More than any other factor, the eyes tell you the emotion of the scene. And the great actors understand that they convey more through their eyes than through dialogue.
I said, well, I haven't got anything to say. So he said, what do you mean you haven't got anything to say? He said, of course you've got things to say. You've got wonderful things to say. But you sit there and listen, think of these extraordinary things to say.
Elliot, sweetheart. Have you tried these? These are wonderful.
And then decide not to say them. That's what you're doing.
And when I'm watching footage, this is what I'm looking for. Moments where I can see a change in the actor's eyes, like when he's making a decision. Shots like these are powerful because they work so well with other shots. For instance, when we cut from his eyes to what he's looking at, it tells us, without words, what he's thinking. The next concept was really hard for me to learn. Emotions take time. When we watch people on screen, we feel a connection to them. And that's because we have time to watch their faces before they speak.
好，我唔阻你啦。
And time to watch them afterwards. Editors have to decide, how much time do I give this emotion? So let's try an exercise. Look at this shot. What do you feel while watching this? Now let's try it again. What do you feel while watching this? Was it a different emotion? Editing is full of decisions like these, where 4 seconds makes a big difference. And these choices are difficult. There are no right answers. Some emotions play better if you see them in a single, continuous shot.
想起来开心，侬讲是吧？
係啊。
哎，我来坐一下。
But other emotions play better over multiple shots, so you can build up and come down. Consider this scene where Luke Skywalker tests his skill. To make this simpler, let's just focus on how long each shot is held for. Notice that as we build, each shot gets shorter and shorter towards the climax. But after 5 shots, we hit the peak and start coming down. Not only are the shots getting longer again, they're actually held for longer than they were the first time. And this whole sequence spends about 15 seconds going up, but twice that amount coming down, so that we, the audience, have time to feel Luke's failure.
I can't. It's too big.
But what happens if you shorten this timing? Let's take a look at a very similar scene, done more recently. See if you can feel the difference.
You can do it, Scott. Come on. They're not listening to me.
Did you believe that emotion? Because in this scene, Scott's failure took 30 frames. By comparison, Luke Skywalker's failure took 30 seconds. People aren't machines. We need time to feel the emotion. And if the movie doesn't give it to us, we don't believe it.
And I'm finding in movies recently that I've seen a lot of things I don't believe. I think people are sticking stuff out there and asking you to believe it, but they're not making you believe it.
And making it believable is really hard.
Let Red go.
Because timing is not a conscious process. You're just responding to the fact that every shot has a natural rhythm.
There's an inbuilt relationship between the story itself and how to tell a story and the rhythm with which you tell it. And editing is 70% about rhythm.
Sometimes the rhythm is obvious, like when the actor is doing something really physical. But other times it's quite subtle. For instance, the rhythm of people walking back and forth. Restaurant, with cooks, customers, waitresses. These rhythms are closer to what we feel in everyday life, and I actually think they're harder to edit. But if you watch anything over and over again, you eventually feel the moment when the shot wants you to cut. Classical Hollywood editing is all about cutting with the rhythm. And this is what we mean when we say that editing is invisible. The cut happens so naturally.
Is there anything else you'd like to know about me?
That you don't notice it.
Would you like to go over to my room?
But you don't always have to be invisible. Some emotions play better if you cut in a jarring way, like if someone is agitated. And other moments play better if you actually cut to make the audience uncomfortable.
One of the things Marty's always encouraged us to do is to sometimes hold just a little bit too long. And then make a cut if it's justified.
What really matters is, what reaction do you want from people? Because sometimes you can only get that with an unusual cut. And that brings me to my last point. If editing is so instinctive, how do you learn it? I only know one way. Practice.
And editing is very similar to dance in that way. You can explain the rudiments of dance, but to really learn how to dance, you have to dance.
You have to cut. And as you cut, you'll develop a sense of rhythm and emotion that's unique to you. I've been doing it for 10 years, and I'm still not there. But whenever I'm frustrated by an edit, I think about something Michael Kahn said.
The beautiful thing about editing is, I guess maybe writers feel that way, I see all that film up there, it doesn't matter. I'm doing one piece at a time. One scene at a time, one cut at a time. When there's a lot of film, I just do one thing at a time.
So take it one shot at a time. Because if you watch any image,
Do it again.
you'll see it has an emotion and a rhythm. And you have to feel when to.
Right. So that was a video on editing. So I hope that might help you when you make your short film.